Oh man, I don't know if I have the patience for this. Okay, I'm gonna play like a couple seconds of this for you guys, but it won't be a segment.
Thank you, everybody. How great is Erica, by the way? That's not
yeah. It's Turning Point USA's like feminist event. It's like Turning Point USA for women. You know, they do this every year. It's always super weird.
Easy to do, I'll tell you what. And it's amazing. She's a incredible mom and working on Bible in 365 and Proclaim Streetwear, and then she gives an amazing address like that. And so many friends here. You know, this is our 10th annual Young Women's Leadership Summit. We've been doing this for 10 years. Real women only, because there's only such thing as real women.
Gotta get the transphobia in there, you know, like you gotta get the transphobia in there. If you don't, like, if you're Charlie Kirk and you go like 5 minutes without mentioning trans people, like, are you even doing the job your billionaires pay you for?
I want to say a special thank you to our friend here, Karen Duddleston from the Duddleston Foundation. They've been so generously supporting us for years. So thank you. Without you, none of this would be possible. And so we're just going to chat for a second here, and then we wanted to open it up for questions from you, which is the most fun, but no political questions. I'll be back.
Wait, can we back that up just real quick? What was that, Charlie?
And so, the Duddleston Foundation, they've been so generous. Say a special thank you to our friend here, Karen Duddleston from the Duddleston Foundation. They've been
Duddleston Foundation, huh? Duddleston Foundation. What's the Duddleston Foundation, I wonder? Let's see. It is, according to ProPublica. I trust ProPublica. All right.
I thought MAGA fascists didn't want women to lead, or like, speak.
Oh, well, they do right up until, you know, like they have more power over women, right? Like the entire premise is to make women complicit, like a class of complicit but subservient women that are better than other women and will get other people to adhere to the conservative movement. Like that, the entire goal is to, like, you know.
Remember, ladies, good house servants report their neighbors for witchcraft. I mean feminism. Pretty sure that sums it up.
Yeah, it looks like they give away millions of dollars every year. But who are the Wayne Duddleston Foundation? Who's Wayne Duddleston? A new billionaire just dropped? Let's see. About Mr. Duddleston. I would love to learn about Mr. Duddleston. He looks like an evil Bill Murray. He helped shape the city as a real estate developer. Okay, so he's a Texas real estate mogul and owned one of the largest construction firms in the country.
And so generously supporting us for years. So thank you. Without you, none of this would be possible. And so we're just going to chat for a second here, and then we wanted to open it up for questions from you, which is the most fun, but no political questions. I'll be back here tomorrow. We can do that if you want to talk about all that fun stuff. Literally just want questions for both of us.
No politics today. It's just about you, ladies.
It's about relationships and raising kids and getting married and all that stuff that you might have.
You know, raising kids, getting married, definitely things that aren't political. Or at least they're not political if you are a cis, white, straight person.
Questions about? Mm-hmm. That's what we want to focus this Q&A on. So, Erica, great job again.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too, baby.
And so a lot of these young ladies have competing pressures right now.
Okay.
Some might even have parents that are like, hey, you got to get a job, you got to build your career, you got to build money, marriage can come later. Mm-hmm. Marriage can come later. However, some ladies might be getting different advice.
Marriage can come later, but you should definitely come after that.
From this conference or from even inside, they say, boy, I might want to get married sooner rather than later. How do they balance that in a godly and biblical way?
That's hard because usually those voices are coming from your parents. I mean, they were for me. And so it's hard because you're in that in-between of honoring your parents, but also knowing that there's a conviction in your heart to have a family.
I love that, like, right off the bat here, he's like, yeah, I understand how difficult it is to want to have a family, but your parents are pressuring you to get into the world of high finance. And it's just like, what are you talking about, man? These people are so weird and disgusting. It's really off-putting, right? And you might think, oh, well, surely Charlie Kirk isn't going to be talking to a room full of young businesswomen about sex, right? Well, I can tell you for a fact, I haven't watched this entire video, but I did skip to like somewhere in the middle, and he does in fact mansplain to them about sex. And I'm going to try and find that real quick. Also, Charlie Kirk's shoes are like the worst things I've ever seen consistently. You know? Like, consistently, his shoes are the worst. I hate them, and him by extension. All right.
Test drive the car before I buy it. That's not a...
Oh God, okay.
I don't think the church talks enough about purity.
Right.
I think it's incredibly important, and we.
Christians famous for never talking about purity culture. God, I remember distinctly like being told in like Sunday school about the concept of like having sex before marriage is equivalent to like chewing up a piece of gum and then trying to give it to someone else after you're done with it. And like the Christian concept is essentially that if you have sex before marriage, you are a fundamentally broken and unwanted thing. You are basically subhuman if you have had sex before marriage in a lot of Christian circles. And like the idea that Charlie is going to come out here and say, you know, we don't talk enough about purity. That's poppycock, sir. Pure, unadulterated poppycock.
Should tell young men and young ladies to save themselves for marriage. It's a beautiful thing.
Right. No, I agree. Because a lot of people will say, well, how do I know that I'm compatible with that person unless I test drive the car before I buy it? That's not a real thing. Don't listen to that lie.
Wait, what's the I'm sorry, what's the lie? Like what's the lie? Like the entire what she's saying is like the idea that like, oh, you know, a lot of young people want to have sex with someone before they decide whether or not they want to be in a relationship with them or if they want to get married. But don't fall for that lie. That's not a lie. That's a position someone has where they want to know, you know, about their prospective love guys' positions, if you know what I'm saying.
Because when you make that covenant with the Lord on that altar, don't let that fire burn out from the altar. That
when you make that covenant with the Lord, that's the sexiest thing. You should be coming for the Lord, not for yourself.
That love is so special and so powerful. You will have natural chemistry within that.
Oh God. Okay, I know I said we wouldn't watch this, but like, damn, it's so gross. It's just like, okay, yeah, once you get married, you will automatically be given divine chemistry. Is such a weird, gross concept. Because it's also not true. Like, there's nothing magical that happens about getting married to someone that instantly makes, like, you good at sex. Like, I'm sorry. Like, being good at sex and being married are not the same thing. These are two very different things. Completely and utterly. Unless you're having a very open-minded wedding and like everyone is invited to, you know, having a marriage orgy of some kind. Like we're not in the realm of like, oh, you get better at sex because you got married, I guess. Fortunately, I was trained by Barbados Slim, the only man to get 2 gold medals in both limbo and sex.
That marriage, it's not like you're marrying a robot. Like you married your soulmate. You married the person who God.
It's not like marrying a robot, but you married Charlie Kirk. Like I'm sorry. You did essentially marry a conservative robot, ma'am. God.
Conversations that have never happened. How are you so good at sex? I've been married 5 times.
Oh, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. But like, I'm sorry, you married a man proportioned like this. Like, what are you talking? He's not a robot. I don't believe you.
Made for you, you're going to be compatible. You should know that.
So then the question that a lot of young...
Oh yeah, Charlie Kirk is married and has
Reminder
like 5
to chat.
kids.
These people refer to premarital sex as test driving a car, but they want a bunch of people on the road who do know how to drive before marriage.
No. They don't want you to test drive the car, very knifey duck. Okay? They don't want you to test drive the car because if you look at that car and you love that car enough and you love it enough to sign the paperwork to be bonded with that car, no matter what, it's going to drive great. Okay? Ignore the fact that that car might wind up being, might wind up being a Tesla Cybertruck. You have no way of knowing.
Marry them immediately, so they can't ever learn that someone might be better than them at sex.
That's genuinely, Sake Tanuki, that I do think that's part of it, right? Like, part of it is there is like this, the let me put it this way, the fiction that is frequently told in conservative Christian circles is that, oh, well, like an 18-year-old girl will marry an 18-year-old guy, and then they are going to be bonded for life, and that's how that's going to work, right? Except more frequently, what happens is an 18-year-old girl gets married to, a 28-year-old man or a 30-year-old man, and it's really that actual dynamic comes into play, right? Because genuinely, there are a lot of creepy older guys who want to marry very young girls.
My only regret in life is that I fell in love with a Chevy Traverse. BWA.
Paladin, thank you for the BWA energy. $10 dono, I appreciate it.
Why test drive the car when you can have the man milk for free? Milkman.
I forgot we had a milkman emo. Why? Oh god. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 sub, Salmon Moose. Oh god, thank you. The milkman cometh. But yeah, no, genuinely what winds up happening is that like that 18-year-old girl looks at like an 18-year-old guy is like, this guy's a dipshit and doesn't have his life figured out. This older man has a bunch of money and will provide for me, and I'm also 18 and don't know how fucking creepy it is and how insane the power dynamic is when I attach myself legally to a man who is that much older and has that much more power than me. Like the lack of experience gets taken advantage of in these situations.
I'd be so excited to have a partner say, my last partner did X and it worked great. Amazing. Teach me to do that too.
Oh god. I would never marry a car. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Oh god. Sometimes you marry someone, you get a Volkswagen Beetle. Other times you marry someone, you get a PT Cruiser. Sometimes you marry someone, you get a car that just explodes when it gets rear-ended, you know? Like, this is a metaphor for relationships. Oh, God.
Young ladies have, but how do you know? How do you know this person is right? And second question, if these young
He's talking to, by his claim, by the way, 2,500 women right now.
ladies have a liberal boyfriend, should they dump him?
100%. How many of you have a liberal boyfriend?
You have a liberal boyfriend?
God, not for long. If you're going to like Turning Point USA events and you have a liberal boyfriend, you're not going to last long.
Don't boo her.
Pray for her.
I'm just going to tell you, you can't change him. Just going to tell you right now.
You can't change, no.
You're great.
No one can change. We're all like this forever. We were all born babies and we're going to die babies.
But so how does a young lady know, and is it ever too early to get married? If they're 22.
Oh God, is it ever too early to get married? Is a really dangerous line of questioning in evangelical Christian communities. That is, it goes young, okay? Way too young. And we've talked about the problem of like religious marriages in America before. Damn.
And they feel as if they found the right guy. Is that too early?
Well, if you're either way, whether you're younger, whatever age you are, I think going through, I know it has a stigma, but premarital is amazing. You get to learn so much about the person you're with, and I have seen it prevent marriages that should not be happening because they are so young and naive with things and they're so lustful.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Well, if you're either way, whether you're younger, whatever age you are, I think going through, I know it has a stigma, but premarital is amazing. You get to learn so much about the person you're with, and I have seen it prevent marriages that should not
premarital counseling. Oh God.
Be happening because they are so young and naive with things and they're so lustful because they haven't gone down the road of having, they're saving themselves, so they're just like,
they can't even say the word sex. God. They can't even talk about what they're talking about.
Salivating. Go to premarital. You'll learn a lot. When you know he's the one, here's an example. When Charlie sat across from me and he said, I want to date you, you want to be with someone who has every intention to not mess with your heart. You're going to know. I know it sounds cliche, but you...
I love that her advice is, you'll just know, sweaty. Which, that's not how that works a lot of the time. A lot of people, especially when they're younger, they think every person they meet is the one. Like, a lot of people don't have a knowing device that knows accurately. What's with the driving metaphors? I don't know. We just want to get it home.
You will know. He's not going to treat you like an option.
What advice would you give to young ladies where they are much more motivated than their boyfriend? How many of you have this problem? Raise your hand.
Ooh, that's tough.
It's a big. I think it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Now, I think that you should both be motivated, but if the woman is much more motivated than the man, would you agree that ends up causing structural issues?
Right, because the man then ends up leaving his pants on the ground and the woman has to put them on.
I really hope she's not still talking about sex.
And so then she becomes the breadwinner because then the husband's just chill and is like, I'm fine with, not going any further than the level that I'm at, while the woman is
like, genuinely, what do you mean? Like, so she puts on the pants and is the breadwinner, and the man just in this scenario just stops living? Like, what is happening?
Aspiring to be more and more and more, so then you become uneven and unequally yoked in your relationship or marriage, and that's just a recipe for an absolute disaster.
It becomes disordered. And there wasn't a ton of hands, but there were enough where it's a noticeable issue. And I find it from the young male perspective that there's a whole longer speech I could give about the problems with male masculinity. How many of you think that the current dating pool of young men is not great? Raise your hand, okay? So no, this is very important. Every hand went up. This is very important. What if I told you if every hand of young men think that the dating pool of young women is not great?
She can't put on the pants in that relationship. Too non-tradcath.
Yeah, that'd be a violation. That'd be cross-dressing under their religious belief.
Oh, you guys are right. Okay.
Sakit Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs.
Okay. I encourage you all to have a little more humility about that.
I love that he just told a room full of women that, like, no, you're all wrong. Men are great, actually, and totally fine. You bitches suck.
What is one thing young women can do better to make themselves more appealing to men who say that the current dating pool of young women is lackluster? Do I ask good questions?
Yes.
I do this for a living.
That's why he has such a good podcast and radio show, The Charlie Kirk Show.
Are you guys liking these questions?
You know, this might be so simple, but people pick up on the way you speak. I'm not talking about, you know, if you sound smart or whatever. I'm saying they will pick up if you curse. They will pick up if you're speaking life over someone. Men hate when women are gossiping. Literally.
I love that she specifically said, I'm not talking about smart, like if you sound smart, but it's like, wait, that is something people will pick up from what you say, you know? Women be gossiping, but men never gossiping.
The fire behind your lips is so powerful, and
it's called Gossip Girl, not Gossip Boy.
And if you can find a way to harness your tongue in a way that's biblical and you dress appropriately, you know,
I think Song of Solomon has some ideas of how to harness your tongue biblically that Charlie Kirk and this lady would probably not approve of.
You don't have everything hanging out. You will attract a different.
Oh, Starm, I think that Charlie Kirk is incentivized in a lot of ways to have the conservative stances he does have. But I think when it comes to like religion and when it comes to evangelical Christianity and stuff like that, I do think he's sincere in his beliefs. And I think that his wife is also sincere in those beliefs.
Different type of guy. Now, if you're going to the club or wherever you're going and you're trying to appease a guy that is, are you going to bring him to your mom? Are you going to bring him to your grandparents? Like, really just be the type of woman, the godly woman that God needs you to be to attract the man that he made for you. That's what you need.
I mean, maybe you'd bring someone you met at the club to meet your grandma or your mom. Like, you know, a lot of good people do go out clubbing. It's not like a club is only degenerates who are beyond saving. Like, I'm like, I don't like, Jesus Christ.
Need to be.
They're acting like going to the club is like going to the Mos Eisley cantina on Tatooine. Jesus.
What young men have serious problems. We're working on fixing that, right? And it's easy to laugh, but you need young men. You do, and understand.
You need them. You need that dick, though. You need that young man dick. It's such a, when you break down the context of what they're saying and what they're talking about, it gets real fucking weird so fast. That
young men are in a far sicker position right now than young ladies are. They're committing suicide more. They're checking out of society. They are on more there's a lot of issues. And it's easy to kind of make fun of young men, but a society needs strong men, and we need husbands, and we need fathers. And everyone in this room should be part of that project of making men.
Yeah. You all need to make sure that you manage men's problems. Are you a woman in a relationship with a man? Well, you need to fix him.
Strong again, everyone. And so
Adopt the
let
man.
me first say what young men need to embrace. How many of you would agree that self-control,
like I have nothing, by the way, against talking about what young men need and like the problems that they face, right? But the context of him presenting that to a room full of women as if it's a problem for them to tackle, that's weird, right? Like, I'm not alone in thinking that that's really kind of messed up. Like telling a room full of thousands of women that they need to become mommies to like grown men in their lives, that's weird.
is an attractive quality that's hard to find in men. Every hand goes up. Right. I say this to young men all the time, that a young lady cares more that if you can control your impulses and control your desires, because that is a signal of what? Maturity, not of infancy. Self-control is a signal of maturity. And a young lady, whether she can articulate it or not, when she sees maturity in a man, she knows that when there's chaos, that man will be able to navigate the family, the relationship through that kind of environment. Young ladies need to be willing to submit to a godly man when you meet one.
There you go. Y'all need to prostrate yourself before your man. You need to be able to be controlled by the man in your life. You need to be willing to subjugate yourself.
Young men are lonely. Get pregnant and fix it.
Yeah, and you better not be wearing shoes. You better be barefoot and pregnant. You know? Because your submission needs to be total and complete. You know, can't have you running down the street away from your man. No shoes.
And if you're not willing to do that, then you got to pray about that. Because a lot of young men...
If you're not willing... Like, I'm sorry, but the idea that, like, if you aren't willing to become subservient to your partner, that you need to ask for divine intervention? Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. If your partner, and I don't give a goddamn shit, if your partner is a man, a woman, non-binary, if your partner is asking you or demanding of you that you become lesser to them, you need to run far away from that relationship. You need to run far away from that relationship. You know, the way it was always put to me in evangelical circles and teachings was that, you know, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck of the relationship, and the neck can make the head turn. But like, that's still a shitty way to look at a relationship between two equal human beings. You know, it is an idea that like women are property. It's rooted in this concept that is ancient and that arose, and because you know, I've been thinking a lot about David Graeber's Debt, the First 5,000 Years. But it's a concept that arose to like protect bloodlines, you know, to exert ownership over possessions, and that concept of ownership extended to women, to control the bloodline, and who inherits what, right? And the idea that in our modern time, one should embrace a religion that, or at least a way of approaching a religion that demands, or maybe a better way of saying that precludes understanding women as actual human beings. I find that really disgusting, you know? Because there's this thing that happens in our society, and I think it happens relatively early on in like childhood development, where kids and subsequently adults are indoctrinated to feel as if men and women are two different creatures, that women have alien minds that men cannot possibly understand, and women cannot possibly understand what happens in the mind of a man. And that's just not true. It is just a lie to perpetuate a power structure that is inequitable and that demands subservience. And I find it really, really gross.
Men in the dating pool say, I don't want to be bossed around all the time. I'm just telling you what I hear from men all the time.
But women love being bossed around all the time, I guess. Women just naturally love being bossed around all the time. It's because it's in their genes or something. And this is how, by the way, that idea winds up getting rooted in eugenics. And one of the reasons why the evangelical movement has really struggled with a connection to eugenics for the past century.
Hyper-toxic feminism.
Yeah, this shit hurts men too. Exactly. No. Exactly, Alan Smith. Right? Because when you have this idea that men and women are inherently different creatures and that women need to be subservient, it breeds all kinds of wild ideas. And it robs men of the ability to connect with half the human population, not just in terms of dating, but in terms of friendship. It robs men of half the available pool of friends. That's insane, right? When we're talking about a male loneliness epidemic in the country, and you're looking at this ideology and it's telling you that men and women are inherently different, it robs you of the friendship of half the population, the ability to even appreciate the possibility of women being able to be friends with you. Because you don't inherently view them, you inherently don't view them as equal to your male friends, right? This was, by the way, relatively late in my, my relationship with religion. When I was in college, this was an idea that was enormously prevalent. The idea that men and women were incapable of being friends. That if men and women were friends, it was really just a secret budding relationship. That friendship was actually a sign that that woman wanted to be yours. They wanted to submit to you. And that's not how that works at all. And I struggled with this idea for a very long time because I knew that, like, men and women could be friends. Like I had friends that were women, but like so many people in this Christian community that I was active in, like, didn't believe in that concept. And that's really, really sad that a lot of men, and by extension, a lot of women, because, when women might not internalize the idea that they can't be friends with men, but then you have men trying to initiate relationships and destroying friendship. It's really, really difficult,
Gender hierarchy sucks.
It really does, Comrade Girl. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Very much appreciated. My best friend forever is a woman of 29 years. That's awesome, John Bainbridge. That's really wholesome. Yeah, again, like the entire idea of, oh man, she friend zoned me. And it's like the idea that that's bad, that is, and that's so ingrained in like masculine culture, right? The idea that like, oh, you got friend zoned. I'm so sorry, bro. Oh man. Another human being thought you were worthy of like being involved in their life and being friends with them. Oh no, the horror. You really lost out. Like, I don't know. Human relationships are complicated enough without adding all of this, all these bullshit rules on top of it,
Feminism is very, very off-putting to young men. And I know this is contrary to what a lot of people hear on college campuses. You have to assert.
Yeah, you have to be comfortable being friends with someone if you want the relationship with them. Like, I don't know, like be comfy being a friend. And also, here's my number one advice, okay? Number one advice, take it or leave it, right? But one, be honored if you are friend zoned, because being in the friend zone, you're someone that person wants to know and wants in their life. And like, that's a beautiful thing, you know, to for another human being to desire to share any part of their life with you. That is a beautiful thing. And number two, if you have feelings for that friend, communicate that. You know, be willing to say, hey, I have feelings for you. And I would like to, you know, maybe take you on a date and explore that. Be willing to put that out there, but simultaneously be willing to accept a no without being butthurt and devastated about it. Because if you can accept a no and not be butthurt and devastated about it, you have a friend. You know, that's great. That's a beautiful thing. When I came out as bi, it was a lot easier for me to have really good relationships with women on a platonic level. And now I have so many female friends whom I cherish. That's a beautiful. See, exactly. That's beautiful. I was about to say that's beautiful, but it is. Be willing to be gracious. You know, like be gracious when someone turns you down, but still wants to be friends with you, you know, because that desire to be friends can be genuine. Friend zone seems fun. I'd like a friend. Exactly.
Your dominance, you have to kind of call your shot. That's fine. However, an attitude in the dating pool is that it can be very off-putting to young men that are already put down so much in our society. They're called toxically masculine.
Again, that young men, if a young man happens to be watching this right now, just understand that toxic masculinity doesn't refer to the idea that masculinity itself is toxic. It refers to the idea that there are traits that are taught as masculine that are harmful to you, as a man, and are harmful to other people. But that those traits aren't inherent to masculinity. You know, there's nothing, you know, toxically masculine about taking like an axe and splitting some wood and getting sweaty in a lumberjack outfit. There's nothing toxically masculine about that. But what is an element of toxic masculinity is the idea that, oh, you can't cry because crying isn't manly. Denying yourself the ability to cry, that's something that hurts you. It stunts your emotional growth. And it also prevents other people from, you know, figuring you out. It stops other people from being able to say, oh, he's upset, let me help. Yeah, Charlie Kirk is actually advocating for toxic ideas of gender here. They're
called, you know, who needs men, the patriarchy. And so then they just largely disengage. Or they do even a worse thing, which
the thing is, Charlie Kirk is spreading misinformation about these concepts, and that misinformation hurts men far, far more. You know, like in the course of just this conversation, he has shamed people who have engaged in like sexual activity before marriage. He has built in an ideology that would preclude men from being friends with half the human population. He has talked about how he has misrepresented ideas that in turn, that misrepresentation galvanizes men and makes them feel like the world hates them inherently. And that's just not what that concept means. You know, and Charlie Kirk is smart enough to know what he's doing here. Okay?
They get involved like, I'm just going to sleep with a bunch of women, but not going to marry them. Right? The problem is on both sides, in my personal opinion. And again, I think that Erica hit it perfectly. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll do some questions, is men want what they cannot have. We'll do any—
Yeah, women. Women never want what they can't have. Like, again, he portrays these ideas as if they're unique to men. That's humans behave this way, Charlie. It's not a man or a woman thing.
Anything to solve the problem of scarcity. Anything. And
I'm okay. I know I'm talking a lot. I know I'm being a real pause champ about this vid. I just wound up having a lot more to say about it than I thought I would. I want you to listen very carefully to what he's saying here and the implication that underlines it.
Men want what they cannot have. Men will do anything to solve the problem of scarcity. Anything.
You guys realize he's talking about rape, right? He's talking about sexual assault. And that's his expression.
And if If men can get you quite easily, that is not an attractive quality to be able to have a man go on a journey with you. I'm just being very, very honest with you. And there's one.
He's essentially saying if, you guys don't help solve this problem, you're putting men in a position where they're going to do anything.
Man, I wish telling my superiors no, these requests are unreasonable, was enough. Spent today in a 2-hour meeting being berated with my co-workers. Just needed to vent because I spent 2 hours, up arrow emoji, 130 emoji.
Oh, Andrew S., I'm really sorry to hear that. That does suck. But thank you for the $10 super chat, and I hope that vent helped get a little bit off your chest.
One thing that men want more than anything else, and it's not Bitcoin. You know what it is. And as women have not...
Again, this is coming from a man who's too afraid to say sex on stage, but is perfectly comfortable implying that women in this room are going to be sexually assaulted if they don't give in to the misogyny and the childishness of, men. They're trying to convince these women to put up with misogyny and abusive, entitled incel man-child behavior because they want broodmares for the state. Aurora, yes, that is exactly it. Also, welcome to Twitch chat.
Not been saving themselves for marriage, and men too, in the last 30 or 40 years, we've seen marriage rates collapse. There is a one-to-one correlation on those two things. And so, all that to say that...
Well, I would also throw out there that one of the reasons we've seen marriage rates collapse is because of the let's just say there's an ominous specter in the room that neither of them have really dealt with. They sidestepped it earlier, but just throwing this out there, there's an organization called Unchained at Last that operates within the United States to help people who got forced into marriage as children to grown-ass adults, helps them to try and escape their marriages. They found in between the year 2000 and 2018 that over 300,000 children had been married to adults in the United States. That's just in the United States, mind you. And a lot of it is due to not just Christian fundamentalism, by the way, but a lot of different religious fundamentalist ideas lead to child marriage. And it's almost like when you move towards a system where people can just choose who they want to marry rather than just being bartered by their parents, which is, by the way, still what happens in child marriages. Fewer people wind up getting married. It's almost like that.
Young lady, everybody in this room, you have more power than I think you could ever imagine. If everybody in this room...
Keep in mind, in the current context, the power he's talking about is men want to fuck them.
Collectively said that we are only going to save ourselves for our future husbands, men will grow up in a way that you would never imagine. You can't believe. Because all of a sudden they'd be like, well, because you understand hookup culture has given men everything they've always wanted. They don't have to work for sex. They don't have to grow up. They don't have to do anything. And then women will just throw themselves at them and they could stay as grown infants for the rest of their life. And unfortunately, it does a lot of damage to young ladies. A lot. It does a lot of psychological damage and a lot of spiritual damage.
Yeah, he really went there, huh?
And then women will just throw themselves at them because you understand hookup culture has... Imagine if everybody in...
You have more power than I think you could imagine in your vaginas, I guess. That's literally... He's literally telling a room full of women that their power is in their vagina. Oh, God. It's so horrible. At a women's leadership conference. It's so awful. God. I fuck. That is some shit, huh? Well, I didn't expect this to... I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't expect to cover this entire thing. I thought we'd just he at the middle part where they're just talking around having sex. Also, notice how his wife didn't say anything for the last 10 minutes of the video. Oh God. Admittingly, when I get one of those, I do intend for my pussy to be powerful. That's fair. That's fair. This was a very mainstream message in the 90s. I know. I was inundated with it, but it's so gross. As someone who is gotten out of this, it feels so gross to be re-submerged in it, even briefly. Anyway, I have no good way of closing this out other than, hey, young men, you can be friends with women because women are also human beings that have the exact same kind of mind that you have. In your internal view of yourself, the richness of your mind, the tapestry of your thoughts and ideas, women also have that. It's not alien. It's not a completely different thing. It's the same as yours. And the second you accept that fundamental premise, your life will improve because you will be able to equally engage with a full half of the human population. So that will honestly improve your life exponentially the second you can accept the humanity of women. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. I really need to start saying this at the beginning of segments. I really do, because it's always weird after an uncomfortable one like this to say it at the end.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.